What's going on, all my fantasy football fans out there? Welcome to my channel. It's Waiver Wire Queen, and today I'm going to share with you 8 players who are going to be breakout players for the 2021 fantasy football season. And I'm going to give you 2 players who was originally on my list, but due to injuries over the weekend, I had to remove them off my list. All right, so let's jump right into it. My first player on this list is going to be Naji Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a running back. He is going to be a workhorse. They are going to utilize Naji Harris a whole lot. They're going to run the football like crazy. I can see Naji Harris having a 1,000-yard season, and he's on this list because, okay, obviously he's just starting his career as a rookie in the NFL, and so he's going to hit over 1,000 yards, and that is going to help Big Ben this season. Okay, they're going to run the ball more. All right, another player on this list, Chase Edmonds, Arizona Cardinals running back. As you know, Kenyon Drake has left the building. They signed James Conner this offseason. However, I don't think that's going to stop Chase Edmonds. He is a great running back in PPR format. So if you're in a PPR league, you're looking for a nice running back with flex appeal, potentially RB2, just depends on what they're going to be doing with him and how they're going to utilize him this season. Chase Edmonds has some really great value, okay? He rushed over 400 yards and had over 400 receiving yards in 2020, and they utilized him more, and he was really good, which made Kenyon Drake expendable, and he's going to get his opportunity this season, and I think he is going to show you guys why they moved on from Kenyon Drake. You'll see his rushing yards go up, and you'll see his receiving yards go up even more. And then when you have someone like Kyler Murray as your quarterback, that's going to help him out a bit there too. So check for Edmonds. It's going to be a really good year for him. Another player on this list is Jerry Judy, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. The best thing for Jerry Judy is that the Broncos decided to name Teddy Bridgewater their starting quarterback. Last season with Drew Lock and some horrible quarterback play, he had over 856 receiving yards on the season. And you see how bad it was at times with Drew Lock last year. Hence is why he is not the starting quarterback to start this season. Jerry Judy is super talented. They have a lot of young weapons out there with Hamler, Fant, Williams, Gordon, and Cortland Sutton is returning from injury. Jerry Judy has showed out during preseason and training camp. He's going to take it to the next level, easily over 1,000 yards with Teddy Bridgewater as his quarterback, because last year Moore and Anderson had really good seasons with Teddy Bridgewater, even though Teddy did miss a little bit of time. Anderson was able to get over 1,000 yards. So Judy is about to take it to the next level and show everyone why those Alabama wide receivers are the ones that everyone wants in fantasy, and why he was drafted high by the Denver Broncos. Another player on my list is Darnell Mooney, wide receiver with the Chicago Bears. He's starting opposite of Allen Robinson. He had over 630 receiving yards this past season, which is great considering you had Nick Foles and you had Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball. It was a disaster at quarterback last year for the Bears. They're going to start the season off with Andy Dalton, I'm going to assume. And if Andy Dalton is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, if he's not doing well enough, then they're going to bring in Justin Fields, who has looked really good so far in preseason and is probably making those Chicago Bear fans want him out there to start the season. But no, we'll probably have to wait a little bit. But nonetheless, Darnell Mooney is going to probably be in line for a boost, maybe 800 receiving yards. It really just depends what they're going to do out there. If Andy Dalton can play well, play better than the 2 guys from last season, then he definitely can reach the 800 receiving yards mark. So check for Darnell Mooney. I was sleeping on him. I'm not sleeping. Never sleeping on Darnell Mooney, because guess what? He's got talent, all right? He's got talent. Another player on my list, Michael Pitman Jr., wide receiver with the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, so two things we know and found out over the weekend. Carson Wentz has returned to practice, okay, very quickly, okay? So that was fast, considering he just had foot surgery a few weeks ago. And T.Y. Hilton is going to miss some time with an injury. So we do know that Pittman had slightly over 500 receiving yards last season. Missed a few games, bit inconsistent, but the talent is there. Again, Hilton is going to be out to start the season, most likely. They got Campbell and Pascal. I don't see any reason why Pittman is going to go well over that 500 receiving yard mark. I'm looking at him to hit 800 to maybe 1,000 yards this season. And I'm going off of this. I'm saying this because I'm expecting Carson Wentz to perform halfway like the Carson Wentz when he was a MVP candidate. So if Carson Wentz can perform half of that or slightly above or somewhere in that range, not like last season Carson Wentz, then I don't see why Pittman is not going to go well over that 500 yard mark. Okay, so let's see. Let's check for it. Let's see what happens. All right, another player who is a breakout player in fantasy football and will have a really good season, Tyler Higbee. #1 tight end for the Los Angeles Rams. One of the biggest things that's been kind of holding Tyler Higbee back is because Gerald Everett was there. So Gerald Everett has left the building and gone on to Seattle. And now you got Tyler Higbee, who's going to be the starting tight end. And then you got to realize that better quarterback play is going to help him. Okay, so 2019, he had over 700 receiving yards, which was really good considering, he was splitting time back and forth with Everett. And then you got the top dogs like Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp out there. So I don't see any reason why he's not gonna hit at least between the 600 and 7 mark. Last season he had over 500 receiving yards with Jared Goff, and we know that was just inconsistent as hell last year. Jared Goff wasn't great last season, which is why the Rams were willing to give up whatever they could to get Stafford. So I can see, again, Higbee in that between 600 and 700 range, probably more along the lines of maybe between 6 and 650. And he's not competing with another tight end for snaps. And obviously, Woods and Kupp will obviously be ahead of him. And then you got Higbee. I don't see anybody taking that third spot in regards to targets. So when you draft Higbee, draft him with confidence. If you can't get the top guys, then it's okay, because a player like Tyler Higbee is going to be available to you, and you've already stacked your team up early on in the draft, and so now you can draft Tyler Higbee, right? That's what I'm talking about. Another player who is going to have a hell of a season this year, all right? Devontae Smith, Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver. They drafted him. I watched a few games, watched a little bit of Philly, and I see why they drafted him. And he's going to be their #1 wide receiver. Okay, he's going to be their #1 wide receiver, and I say that several times. And he's going to have a breakout season because, yes, he's a rookie. Obviously, what is he going to do? He's obviously going to go up because he doesn't have any statistics in the NFL yet outside of what he did in preseason, which really don't count. He's going to be that #1 guy. I could see him get over 1,000 receiving yards this season, depending on what they do over there in Philly. If Jalen Hurts and him can build a nice rapport, check for him to hit 1,000 yards. He has the talent. He's an Alabama wide receiver. I'll say that 100 times. He's an Alabama wide receiver. And so you can expect him to reach that level. Look at all the Alabama wide receivers, and you'll see why Devontae Smith is on my list as breakout players in his first season. He's not It's not going to happen season 2, season 3. He'll improve, but however, it's going down this year with Devontae Smith. Okay? Number 1 wide receiver. Remember that. Okay, another player who I'm high on is Michael Carter with the New York Jets. He's their running back. I don't think he's going to start the season as their starting running back. However, at some point, because of his talent and the lack of talent they have at running back, I feel like he has an opportunity to take that starting job. He's definitely the most talented running back out of that group. You got Coleman, Johnson, Perrin. These guys have had several opportunities to be lead running backs, and they have not taken advantage of those opportunities when they were with other teams, like Coleman with the 49ers, Johnson with the Lions, and then Perrin, he's with the Jets. And guess what? At some point, I feel like Michael Carter is going to take over that job and be that lead back. He didn't play well this last preseason game, and it happens, okay? However, the talent is there. Let's just see what they do. And now 2 honorable mentions I had on my list, and these guys unfortunately suffered some injuries. J.K. Dobbins, I had him on my list. He's Baltimore Ravens starting running back. Last season, splitting time with Gus Edwards and a little bit of Mark Ingram being sprinkled in there, he was able to rush for over 800 yards. And then you got to realize Lamar Jackson is going to get in there and he's going to run the ball too. So he was able to rush for over 800 yards on the season. He was their starting back. Unfortunately, he suffered a season-ending injury on Saturday. And he's done for the season. Wishing him a speedy recovery. I projected that he would hit the 1,000 mark this season being the full-time starter. But we're going to have to wait and see next year. Another player I had on my list, Irv Smith Jr. Tight end with the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, so one of the biggest factors that was holding him back was Kyle Rudolph still being on the roster. Rudolph is on my Giants now. Irv Smith Jr. was going to be the number 1 tight end. You got Kurt as the quarterback, so you know how that can go sometimes. Then you figured Jefferson, Thielen, and Cook would probably be ahead of him. And maybe not even so much Cook in the receiving game, but he's never had over 400 yards receiving in a season, just 200-300 yard receiving seasons, but that's due to not being heavily involved in the offense. And then you figure, like I said, Rudolph was the guy. So unfortunately had a meniscus injury. I originally had him on my list as a breakout player in fantasy football for the 2021 season. The talent is there. He's athletic. The talent is there, which is why they drafted him. And most people have been waiting and like, let him play. Let him get out there on the field. Give him more time. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait and see. All right, y'all. Y'all let me know what you think of my breakout players. Leave some comments on who you feel is going to be a breakout player this year. Hit that like button so you can see more videos like this, and subscribe to Waiver Wire Queen for more fantasy football for the upcoming season, because I'm going to get you right. The goal is win your league, okay? We don't do second place, third place, fourth place, last place. We try and aim to win our leagues. Peace.